Hello YouTube, Intuitive Edge here, checking in. I would like to do a reading on the recent revelations that have come out about the Guccifer 2.0 being a local area network hack and not a Russian hack from overseas. I specifically want to look at whether this story is credible, whether there's any truth to it or not. I'm going to look at the person who calls himself the Forensicator, who gave this specific evidence about this hack being localized. And I want to know if he is trustworthy. You know, is his information legit? Is he trustworthy? Is it true or not? Or is it just a hoax? I also want to know what is happening now with respect to these revelations that have come out, and where will this story go? What's going to come of it? Is it anything big going to come of it, or is it just going to blow off and blow into nothing? In case any of you are not familiar, I'm going to read just a little bit from the article, and I'll publish a link to this article in the comment section. And again, we're going to just look at whether this story is, backed up in truth or not. So, basically what they're saying is new meta-analysis has emerged from a document published by an independent researcher known as the Forensicator, which suggests that files eventually published by Guccifer 2.0 persona were likely initially downloaded by a person with physical access to a computer possibly connected to the internal DNC network. The individual most likely used a USB drive to copy the information. The groundbreaking new analysis destroys the Russian hacking narrative and calls the actions of CrowdStrike and the DNC into question. The document supplied to Disobedient Media via Adam Carter was authored by an individual known as the Forensicator. The full document referred here has been published on their blog. Their analysis indicates the data was almost certainly not accessed by a remote hacker, much less one in Russia. If this is true, this analysis obliterates the Russia hacking narrative completely. The Forensicator specifically discusses the data was eventually published by Guccifer 2.0 under the title NGP-VAN. This should not be confused with the separate publication of the DNC emails that were published by WikiLeaks. This article focuses solely on the evidence stemming from files published by Guccifer 2.0, which were previously discussed in depth by Adam Carter. Okay. Let me see if I want to read anything else from here, just so we get an idea of what this is about. Disobedient Media previously reported that CrowdStrike is the only group that has directly analyzed the DNC servers, and that to my knowledge, is true. The FBI was never given the DNC servers. They took the word of CrowdStrike, which was an independent firm. So the FBI never did look at the servers themselves. Other groups, including Threat Connect, have used the information provided by CrowdStrike to claim that Russia hacked the DNC. However, their evaluation was based solely on information ultimately provided by CrowdStrike, and this places the company in the unique position of being the only direct source of evidence that a hack even occurred. So basically, this Forensicator person, let's see, I'll read down here. The document states that the files eventually published as NGP-VAN by Guccifer 2.0 were first copied to a system located in the Eastern time zone, with this conclusion supported by the observation that the 0.7Z file times after adjustment to East Coast time fall into the range of the file times in the .rar files. Okay, a lot of technical jargon. This constitutes the first of a number of points of analysis which suggests that the information eventually published by Guccifer 2.0 persona was not obtained by a Russian hacker. Okay, so you can go ahead and read that article if you want. I actually spent about 15 minutes just reading the comment section, which was quite interesting. There were, people from all kinds of very, a lot higher pay grade than me in terms of their knowledge of technical jargon with relation to specific computer programming and that type of logistical type of stuff. But anyways, very interesting. If you want to read it, I encourage you to read that article. Again, I'll post it in the comment section, in the information section below this video. But we're going to look at specifically, okay, is this source legitimate? Is it relevant? Is it truth? Is it trustworthy? I want to see, this Forensicator. I'm not so much interested in him or they or she or whoever this group or person is. What I want to know is their findings related to this, basically coming to the conclusion that the Guccifer 2.0 was not a Russian hacker, that they basically have said that they've destroyed that narrative. So I want to know, is that true? Is what they found true? And then we'll go from there, assuming we'll just see, is it true? What's happening, and where will this story lead? Okay, so big introduction there. Sorry for the lengthy introduction. I wanted to read that, though, to give people an idea of, if you haven't heard the story or haven't been up on kind of, that just recently broke, I think, in the last couple of days. So I'm going to shuffle up the cards, and we're going to take a look at that. So give me a moment while I shuffle up here. So we're going to be looking at the Forensicator and whether his information that he's published that went to a site, a news group called Disobedient Media, whether that is a legitimate story or just, or if it's just a bunch of BS. So, because it does have far-reaching implications. If it does destroy the Russian narrative completely, then that's a whole nother ball of wax in terms of where we go politically in our country right now. So, that could open another huge can of worms later on. But we're not going to go there right now. We're just going to see the Forensicator right now. So give me a moment. Couple more times here. Sorry, guys. I'm going to shuffle really good here. Alright, I think we're just about good here. Alright, so. Alright, I'm going to cut the deck. So we're going to look at the persona known as the Forensicator. And what is happening with that information. And where will it go in the future. So, initially, right off, we have the High Priestess. This is a Major Arcana card. Came in reversed. Major Arcanas hold more weight than other cards in the reading. I want to say this person has a lot of power, a lot of clout behind them. They seem like they have... This too, the High Priestess is about things that are hidden, things that are more of a higher spiritual nature, traditionally, is that card. But it's also somebody who is of a higher mind. So I think the High Priestess too is very much interested in the truth, kind of the truth behind what everybody else sees. They look kind of deeper, at the deeper meaning and deeper level. So I would say that this person, this investigator, this Forensicator group person, he, she, I don't know, it, is interested in kind of what's going on behind the scenes, kind of a higher truth kind of thing. Again, we'll see more as, I hope you can see those. Yeah, okay. So moving on, what is happening now with respect to these revelations? Now, this is an interesting card. This is the Seven of Swords. This card is all about treading lightly, being careful. being tactful, being diplomatic, having to be very discreet. It's a sly kind of card. You have to basically know kind of how the game is played and where you're going. So I think that this information getting out it's going to have to be treated carefully. Because if it is true, and that we'll hopefully get to that, that's the point of this reading. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to ascertain that as we go. That's going to be pretty important. That how this information comes out is almost as important as the information itself. How it's dispersed, who it goes to, who is able to disseminate it, that kind of thing. Where will this story lead in the future? Now, what's interesting about this, we have the Six of Swords. This is a card of moving on. Can be kind of a sad card. It's like you're basically giving up something and moving on from something. Excuse me. Drink of water there. Okay. So, to me, this is like having to move on from something. So, now, just assuming for a moment that if this information is true, this to me would be needing to move on from the Russian hacking narrative, for instance. That's one interpretation. Again, I want to get more cards out so we can get more clear as to exactly what we're looking at. Okay, so we have the Forensicator again. What's happening with the information, and, where will this story go? Okay. So we've got the Queen of Cups. This is a powerful card. Interesting, it's got a female aspect to it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the Forensicator is female. But it simply has, this is like just an emotionally powerful, charged information, and person. Now, I asked specifically on this train, what is the information? Is the information that they've uncovered trustworthy? This card upright, I would say, to me that's a positive card. It's upright. It's on top of a powerful card as well. I'm guessing, I'm leaning toward maybe that does lend some credence to this specific person. We'll get more information on it. That's just kind of initially what it feels. And my cat is sitting on top of my notes here. Okay. If you haven't been watching my videos, my cat loves to interrupt me. I can be doing stuff around the house all day and he ignores me. And the minute I sit down to do a video, the cat likes to come in and disrupt. So it's actually quite funny. But so if you see a cat jump up here, I apologize. I'll move him along. All right. So what is happening now with respect to this information? And speak of the devil, here's Buddy. Okay, off we go. We have the Two of Pentacles. This is a card of indecision, balance, trying to find balance, but basically weighing options. Do I do this? Do I do that? So to me, this is saying, and again, this is a card of, this is a card of having to be delicate in how things are presented, and this is like, how do you weigh it? Do you do this? Do you do that? So these two are really speaking of this, the need to basically weigh your options. How do we disseminate this? We need to be careful. This is kind of explosive, maybe. So I think there's a lot of maybe some trepidation a little bit on how this information is getting out there, or how they initially want to get that information out. I think that they're looking maybe at ways of how they can disseminate it further. So that basically they're just weighing options. Okay, so the next card is, where will this story lead in the future? Now this is interesting. Okay, we had kind of this letting go, moving on, moving away from something, having to basically kind of start anew, start over. And then we've got this card here. You know what's really interesting about the Seven of Pentacles? Traditionally, when I see this card show up and it comes up reversed, you know, if I'm like doing a reading for a client, this tells me that this person's having like a change of job, or they're having to their way of life or way of living is like changing. Like it's like moving on, new job, maybe even new place of living, but usually it relates to work. So I mean, this is really compounding the information on this card of like moving on, moving away from something, and this is like again, it's the same kind of thing. It's moving on, moving away, but like a new job, a new something coming in. So this could, I think this actually dovetails on the previous card in the idea of moving on or moving away from something. But this also means something brand new coming in the future. So I think I'm just going to take a stab at this. I mean, assuming, okay, if this information is true, then then that would make sense that this information, that what's coming of it is moving on to basically a completely different path, a new, you know, if this completely disproves the Russian narrative, then this makes sense, because something new would have to come of it. I mean, you can't, if it's proven false, then it goes away. So, and something new would have to come in and take its place. We'll see further. We'll see further. All right. So, now on the Forensicator line again, is he, she, it, they, this information that they've uncovered trustworthy? Is it true? I've got the wish card. This is this is basically, you get what you wish for. This is a really positive card. Anytime it comes up in a reading, it's like this is positive in terms of, if you, whatever it is that person's focused on, you're more than likely to get it. You know, a lot of it depends on a person's state of mind and their ability to usher in something new in their life. But this is a positive card. It is reversed. That doesn't necessarily change the meaning of the card drastically. Depends on the card, depends on the position of the card. What I would think of this being reversed is it just means that maybe they got either a little more than they wished for, or it wasn't quite what they were wishing for. But I think that based on what I see here, that information is at least, for the most part, trustworthy. That whatever they uncovered is reliable. And again, I encourage you to go read the article, go read the comments, and, you know, make up your own mind. You know, this is just a guide. This is just my interpretation, but you know what? It's up to all of us to use our own intuition, our own head. Okay. What is happening now with respect to these revelations? Now, knights are messengers, and this tells me that there is a message coming. Knights of Pentacles, the fact that it's not reversed tells me that there is forward movement. I think there is some more. I wonder if there's more information coming out. If it's okay. All right. I get the image of, okay. The imagery on the card. Sometimes I look at what the imagery is like. Sometimes the artistry like pops out at me, and I get like different ideas and different things come to me intuitively. And I just see like this forward movement, like it's just kind of moving through, and it feels like that there will be more coming out regarding this. And I think that that's probably what they're like weighing options on. Do we do this? Do we do that? I think there's a message about that. So if you're following this at all in the news, just be aware that there may be some more variants of it coming out, or maybe some a new spin on it coming out. I think there's some discussion of how to disseminate a little bit more of it. So I think the bulk of it, I think, has come out, but it feels like there's maybe a little more to the story, that this is telling us there's a message coming of a little bit more information coming out. So be on the lookout for that. Where will this story lead? The future. Again, we had both of these two cards prior, moving into something different. And we have another messenger card. This is the Page of Pentacles. To me, that feels as though it's facing back toward this knight, and the knight is like moving forward. So I think that the information is consolidating. That feels like there's going to be some more like consolidating. I would look for it to come out in more. I would look for more people to pick this story up. I don't think we've seen the end of it. I don't think we're done with it. It's going to take on a new form. Again, that's what we saw here. This moving on, taking on a new form, a new look, and now we've got this messenger that's basically completing that picture of it coming into a new form, a new way of looking. Lastly, our top card is the Five of Pentacles. This is kind of our overall. This is a card of loss and having to move on from something. This is basically you've taken a risk at, basically don't risk it, just cut your losses and move on. That's what this is. And when it's reversed, it can really spell trouble coming. For, it's basically a kind of a warning card. You don't want to get stuck out in the cold. You don't want to get caught with your pants down, so to speak. It's all about being at risk. And I think that the overall, what this whole spread is saying is that I think it has uncovered something that could put the official narrative at risk. That's what I'm going to say. Now, you're free to throw a comment. If you disagree, that's fine. Maybe you have another take on it. That's my take. I think the official story's in trouble. If this information is true, and it seems like it based on the positive cards in this section. All three of these cards are really positive. And this was my specific line on, is this information trustworthy? And all three cards are positive cards. I would say yes. But it's going to be a delicate balance as to what's coming out, and boy. But this card at the bottom, just don't risk it. There's basically a warning. So I think it could further cause some problems for the official Russian hacking narrative, possibly. So that's my take on it. If you like my video, leave a like. And I hope you'll subscribe. I'm going to make more videos. Hope y'all are doing well. I'll catch you another time. Thank you. Bye.